Okay, so welcome to our eMediaVA webinar, Exploring the Redesigned eMediaVA. Tonight, we are going to talk about eMediaVA, of course, and the reason we're calling it the redesigned is because this past June, we did a whole revamp of the site, and it looks new, it feels new, it's easier to use, and hopefully you can get some new stuff out of it. If you've used eMediaVA before, great, welcome back. If not, and this is your first time hearing of it, that is quite okay too. All levels are welcome tonight. So I think everyone here so far has, but if you haven't, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. As we're going, you can tell me who you are, what division you're with, your grade level, content area you work with, and we'll go ahead and get started from here. So thanks for joining us. I know it's a busy time of year for y'all, and we appreciate that you're here trying to learn some new things to take back to your classrooms. Definitely appreciative to have you here. My name is Janie Everett. I'm the Educational Technology Manager at WHRO Public Media. So my main role there is to provide professional development like what we're doing tonight for educators in our area. Before coming to WHRO, I was an elementary school teacher. I started teaching in Norfolk, and actually one of my very first co-team teachers in the world is here tonight, Sharon Webster, who taught me how to be a teacher. So hi, Sharon, nice to see you again. I also taught in Virginia Beach Public Schools, and I was a instructional technology specialist at Virginia Beach as well before coming on over to WHRO. If you need anything after tonight, I have my email up there on the screen for you. Also hanging out with us tonight is Lindsay Horner. She's our eMediaVA manager, and she's here in case you need anything from her while I'm talking tonight. So in case you're unfamiliar with WHRO, we are based in Norfolk, and we are owned by 21 school divisions. We are the local PBS affiliate, so we are a radio and TV station. And because we're owned by school divisions, we get to provide lots of excellent free educational resources to teachers in the state of Virginia. And one of those great resources is what we're talking about tonight, eMediaVA. So a little housekeeping before we really get rolling tonight. I'm going to share these slides with you at the end of the session tonight. I'm going to put the link for the slides in the chat. You're also going to get an email from me tomorrow morning at some point, and that's also going to have a link to my slides as well. So you can definitely take advantage of all the resources that we have listed here tonight. I am recording this session, as you already saw. We're going to post this recording at whro.org/professional development in case you need it in the future. We are also going to give you a feedback survey. I'll put the link for the survey in the chat. You'll also get it in the email tomorrow. It's a very brief survey, and if you fill it out to let us know how we're doing, the end of that survey is going to give you a certificate of participation for tonight for 1 hour. If you have questions tonight, go ahead and ask them. You can ask them in the chat. You can ask them in the Q&A. You don't have access to video or microphone tonight, but chat or QA will work. Lindsay's keeping an eye on those, so feel free to ask as we're going along, and she'll answer any of your questions. We'll also stick around for a couple of minutes at the end tonight, so if you have more questions then, we'll hang out and answer those for you. We love to do trainings, Lindsay and I both. So if the information you see tonight, you feel may be relevant to the rest of the staff at your school, reach out to us after tonight. We would be happy to do one of these trainings for you, either virtual, in person, for your whole staff at your school. And then of course, if we leave tonight and you still have questions, either email us or you can visit our tutorials page, which is linked right here. We have a lot of great videos there that cover everything we're going to talk about tonight. Here are the big concepts for today. We're going to explore the new eMediaVA platform. We're going to cover the new homepage, what that looks like. I'm going to talk to you about logging in, and then we're going to do a search in our search engine for some media that we can stream. I'm also going to show you how to create collections and save and share the learning objects that you find. If you have used eMediaVA before, you may have heard them referred to as playlists, but they are now called collections. And of course, we're going to discover lots of culturally relevant media to engage our students. So digital media is important to us as educators because it supports differentiation and personalized learning in our classrooms. We know that not all of our students learn the same way or even have the same interests. So, why would we give them the same materials, when they have all sorts of different learning styles? We can give them all different types of media. I think when we hear digital media, we just think of videos, which is a huge part of digital media, but that's not it. We have interactive pieces and text, audio, images, all sorts of things for all of our different styles of learners that we have out there. And when we do support their different styles of learning, we're going to see increased engagement and we're going to motivate our students. They're going to be a little more engaged in our lessons, a little more involved. And when we have their attention like that, overall, we're going to increase their understanding and their retention of the content. Not only are they going to be able to interact with it in our classroom, but they're going to take what we're teaching them and apply it to some real world settings too, when they get out of our classroom, which really is our main goal. And of course, all of this ups our students' critical thinking practices, makes them better learners and better citizens. So eMediaVA is a really great tool to provide digital media for your students in your classroom. And let's talk about what eMediaVA is. For those of you who've never heard of it, or maybe if you haven't used it in a while, we are a free digital content library, keyword free. So free for all educators and students in Virginia, whether you're at a private school or public school, Virtual Virginia, we are free. Homeschools, all of that. You will find tons of free digital media learning objects on our site. We support all types of classrooms. So whether you are teaching in a virtual classroom, an in-person classroom, hybrid, maybe you're virtual a few days and in person the other few days of the week. No matter what your classroom looks like, we support your classroom and we have content that you can use. All of our content is safe and it's coming from trusted resources. We don't just throw anything on there for you to use. We definitely vet all of our content first before it comes out to your classroom to make sure that we are giving you the best possible resources that match all of the SOLs that you're teaching in your classroom. And another really great thing about eMediaVA is that all of our content can also be shared out with parents. I'm sure plenty of us in here tonight are parents as well as educators. I am, so is Lindsay. So we know how important it is to make sure that we have our parents feel like they are part of the classroom and part of the learning experience with our students. As an instructional technology specialist, not all of the tech sites that we like to use in the classroom are parent friendly. There are plenty of sites that our students can easily access, but because of the login situation, our parents don't necessarily get to see what's going on in the classroom. Not the case with eMediaVA. It's as simple as grabbing a link for a learning object and just emailing it out to parents or however you're communicating with your parents. And it definitely makes them feel, or us, I should say, because I'm a parent as well, makes us feel more like we're part of the classroom when we can actually see what our students are seeing on a daily basis too. In eMediaVA right now, we have over 10,000 digital learning resources available for you to use. Over 120,000 educators and students are using eMediaVA on a daily basis. And we have over 500 local, state, and national content providers that we partner with to bring you content. Speaking of our content providers, here's just a few of the content providers that we work with to get all of our learning objects for you. You see some really big popular names here, right? PBS and NASA, NOVA, Library of Virginia. So these are just a few of the types of places that we are getting our resources from that we're sharing with you. If you have been using eMediaVA already, here are some of the things that are going to look a little different for you. Same resources, but we have a brand new look. We have updated that search engine so it's a little bit faster and easier to use. We have some really great filters on there to really narrow down your searches. You also have the ability to create your own collections and share them out with other educators via link. And we have some brand new ways for you to connect with other eMediaVA educators across the state of Virginia. We have a brand new blog and a new Facebook page, and I'm going to show you what those look like tonight as well. All right, so if you don't mind answering this question for me before we get rolling here, I would love to know what your current comfort level is with eMediaVA, just for my own knowledge so I know before we really get rolling here tonight. You can either use a cell phone to scan that QR code and it will take you right to the survey, or you can, on any device, go to slido.com and enter that code 2635827. If you vote 1 star, that's kind of like, I'm not very familiar with eMediaVA at all. And then 5 stars would be, I'm very comfortable, I use it quite often. And then 2, 3, 4, of course, are in the middle. So go ahead and take a minute to answer this question for me, just so I can kind of see where we're at. And again, remember, no matter what level you're at tonight, you're all welcome here. This is a training for all levels of eMediaVA. So feel free to answer honestly. It is anonymous, but we do appreciate your feedback before we get started. All right, looks like we have a pretty good span here. I'll give you about 10 more seconds to answer in case you haven't yet. Okay. Thank you for giving me that information. I appreciate it, and we're going to move forward. All right. So first, I want to start with how we log into eMediaVA. It's going to be different for everybody, depending on what division you're coming from. Some of you will go to eMediaVA.org and you will click login. You'll find your school and you'll type in your login information. Some of you will use LDAP, which means you use the login information that you use for all of your other school login sites and apps and whatnot. Some of you will have ClassLink and some of you will have Clever. If you're not sure how you log in or if you have an account yet or not, feel free to reach out to us. Probably after the session tonight would be best so that we can focus on the session first and then we can help you with how you log in afterwards. Like I said, we'll stick around, so we'll be glad to help you with that before we leave tonight, but we'll definitely make sure that you get logged in. You can go to eMediaVA.org and just follow along there if you're not sure how to log in quite yet. But I do recommend learning how you log in with your division because you'll need to log in to be able to create collections and come back to those collections at a later point. So, so definitely reach out to us if you're not entirely sure on your login. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of my slides for now and actually head over to the website, eMediaVA.org, if you want to follow along on your own device. So I'm going to start by going through the entire homepage because it looks quite different than it did before. We have a lot of new exciting things going on here. And then after we cover this homepage, we'll go ahead and do an actual search so that you can see what our content looks like and how to put it together in collections. Okay. So at the very top of our site, sometimes like right now, you're going to see this kind of mint green bar. This is where we put any announcements for things that are coming up. So for instance, we had an announcement here about tonight's webinar in case anybody wanted to sign up for that. As you're going along at any point, if you click on our big, huge eMediaVA logo right here, it's going to take you back to this home screen. eMediaVA dashboard, this is where we will go later to check out our collections that we put together. Curated collections, we'll talk about that down here as well. And then those of you who are signing in with a username and password on the site you'll do that right here. I know right now it says sign out. That's because I'm logged in, but if you're not logged in yet, it will say sign in. You'll go there, you'll find your school division, the name of your school, and you'll type in your information there. Unless you're Clever or ClassLink or something like that, then you'll go to your Clever portal, of course. Next is our search engine. And like I said, in a couple of minutes, we will do a thorough search, but it is updated. We have some new filters, so we'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. Scrolling down, first we have our curated collections. These are collections of resources, of learning objects that have been put together for you. If you are coming to eMediaVA looking for a specific topic, I suggest always starting out with the curated collections, because there may be something here that has already been put together for you by other trusted educators. So this might be a good place for you to get started so that you don't necessarily have to start a collection from scratch if you don't want to. We have all sorts of topics in here, a very wide span of topics and SOLs that are covered here. So definitely check those out. And again, they're collections. So this isn't just one resource, it's a group of a bunch of resources, related to Stop the Rise in the environment or African-American history or whatever the topic may be. Scrolling down a little bit further, news and events. This is our eMediaVA blog. This is also new this year. These blog posts are all written by educators. Some of them are written by us at eMediaVA. Some of them are written by teachers out in the classroom who are using eMediaVA. And some of them are written by our eMediaVA ambassadors. We have a group of ambassadors who are experts in eMediaVA, and they're also all current classroom teachers, or I should say they have school roles. Some of them are library media specialists or what have it, but these are all really great to check out. I like to look at them because it's what other educators are doing in their classrooms right now related to free content. So they're usually just a couple of paragraphs long, tells you when it was posted, who wrote it, and gives you some really good tips and tricks to get through the school year. If you are interested in writing a blog for us, let us know, reach out to us. We're always looking for new authors for our blog posts, and we would love to have you. Scrolling down a little bit further, these are the featured resources that we suggest you check out right now. They may be relevant to a current topic that's going on in the world. They may be relevant to a certain time of year, like if there's a holiday coming up, we may put something related to that holiday right here. So just some cool things that we think would be great for you to check out. And then this is my favorite part at the bottom, what's trending. These are the top resources being clicked on and viewed right now by teachers and students across the state of Virginia. I love checking these out because I feel like if other teachers are looking at these things and using them, then they must be important or they must be pretty good resources. So usually if I'm doing a training or if I'm looking for something to use in a classroom, I come down to what's trending and I see if there's anything relevant that I can use in my upcoming sessions. And then just two more things at the very bottom. We would love to have you submit your email here to us. We send out a newsletter every couple of weeks. We don't spam your inbox or try to sell you anything. We just send you important dates for events that are coming up, webinars, eMediaVA resources, heads up on blog posts, things like that. And then last but not least, this year we have this new Facebook page, which I'll click over to really quick so you can take a look at that. It's called Free Virtual Learning VA, and this is a public forum, so everyone in the group can post here. And it's kind of similar to the blog. The only difference is that anyone can post here. And again, we just post all sorts of free resources that we're using in our classrooms, and we like to share all the things that we're doing with each other right here. So definitely check that out as well if you get a chance. So now that we've become very familiar with the homepage, I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top to our search engine. If you come to eMediaVA this is probably the tool, the feature that you are going to use the most. You're going to come here searching for, whatever topic you're covering in your classroom that week or that month or whatever. You can type any keyword you want into our search engine here. My child was in here. I did not search Boss Baby. That was him. Anyway, you can type anything in here. So if you're doing math topics like types of triangles, you can type that in here. Civil War, synonyms, antonyms, whatever it may be, but not just those typical reading, math, science, social studies topics either. We cover everything, all of the fine arts. We have music SOLs, computer science, pretty much anything you're looking for. Come here and give it a search, and you're probably going to find something that you're looking for. So tonight I'm going to do a search on recycling. So if I go ahead and click search, I'm going to have hundreds of learning objects come up, but I want to filter my search out a little bit so that it's a little more narrow to exactly what I'm teaching in my recycling unit. So let's take a look at some of those filters before we go ahead and click on the search button. My favorite filter is the SOL filter, and we have really refined this quite a bit as well. So maybe I am a science teacher in 2nd grade, and I know in a couple of weeks I'm going to be teaching 2.8, all of these strands. I can click on these or I can leave them blank. I don't have to go all the way through the strand if I don't want to, but I can. So you can get really far and specific into the SOLs that you're going to be teaching, which is really great. We have all of them here. We have all the fine arts, world languages, anything you're looking for is here, which is really great. Okay. You can also filter your search by grade level. So I'm a 2nd grade teacher because I'm looking for 2nd grade science SOLs. So my search, let's do, I don't know, maybe kindergarten through 5th grade. I'll kind of give myself a big range here. You can also filter by the type of learning object that you want to see pop up in your search. So I want to see videos come up. I want to see audio, interactives. I want documents, images, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want any text, web pages, or collections coming up. Also, by the way, while I'm going through these filters, I'm selecting a ton of filters right now. You do not have to do this. You do not have to click on all the filters. You can choose to do as many or as few as you want to. And this is where you're going to find things like Creative Commons license, rights. If you're looking for content from a specific vendor that we work with, you can find that here. Maybe you're looking for something from, I don't know, Colonial Williamsburg Foundation. That's where you can find that. And also Spanish resources and captions as well. I'm going to leave those blank for now. So I'm going to go ahead and do my search. Keep in mind, I put on a ton of filters. So just like with any website, the more filters you have, the more narrow your search is going to be. I am going to have resources pop up, but it's going to be just some really specific ones because my search was very specific. But it's really easy to moderate our filters as well. And I'll show you how to do that, or modify them rather. Okay. So even with all of these filters on, I still have 8 results for recycling in 2nd grade science, K-5 for all these different types of resources. So 8 is a really good number, but I want to broaden that a little bit. So here's how we can adjust some of our filters. You can either come up here to the top and just click on the X's to get rid of some of the filters that you previously selected. Oops, I got rid of one of them and I already have 22 results compared to what I had before. And a brand new feature as well is over here in this kind of purplish box on the other side. You can select them or deselect them over here as well, which is great. This is brand new. We didn't have this before, and it's really, really handy. So I'll get out of that second grade science and I'll click on interactives again. Okay, so now I have 79 results to search for, which is quite a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look for some resources that I think would be great to use with my students. So as I'm going along today, my goal is to find 4 resources. I know in 2 weeks from now, I'm teaching a lesson on recycling, this 2.8, and I want 4 resources, 4 learning objects that I can use with my students in the classroom. You can add as many objects to your collections as you want. Today, I'm looking for 4 for time's sake. So we're going to go through these. We're going to find 4 objects, and I'm going to show you how to add them to a collection and how to go back later and find that collection that you have created, okay? So first, I'm going to take a look at this recycling resource. I can see the title, a brief description, what type of resource it is, it's an interactive, and also what grade levels it's appropriate for. So if I just click on it, it's going to pull the resource up so that I can take a closer look at it. All right, so here's the title again, the large image. Here are some options over here that we'll talk about in a little bit. If I scroll down a little bit, I see the full description, again, the type of resource, the grade level. We also see some support materials here as well. Always check out these support materials. Most of our resources have them, and those are just additional resources that are going to help enhance the resource that you're already looking at. So these, whatever's here, goes along with this one that we're already clicked on. Sometimes it's a lesson plan. That's kind of what this one looks like. Sometimes, yep, it's like a lesson plan, some additional info that you can use with your students in your lesson. Sometimes it's a transcript if it's a video you're watching. Sometimes it's a list of critical thinking questions. It differs for every resource, so always check those out because the more free resources, the better, right? If I scroll down a little bit further, it tells me exactly which SOLs are aligned with this resource. And even better yet, if I hover over the little orange eye, it shows me what that SOL is. It's also going to show me the permitted use. So I'm allowed to stream, download, and share this learning object. And it also shows me who made it, where this resource came from. And last but not least, it gives me the citation information, which is really great if either you work at a school where you have to cite all of the things that you put into your lesson plan, or if you're a teacher who teaches students how to cite. Even as a sorry, my son was asking me a question. So even as a 5th grade teacher, we were already starting to teach students how to find reputable websites and how to list where their information comes from. So this is really great for that as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this actual interactive piece and see if it's something that I might be interested in. Okay. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Toddler drama. Okay, so moving along. So our interactive resources are always my favorite because not only is it just one type of media, but it's usually a few combined together. So this is going to have text. It's going to have things for students to click on and move around. It's going to have videos. It's going to have some audio in it. I'll click through just a couple of these 25 slides so you can see what I mean before we move along. Okay, so we are going to read and learn about recycling. Here's a video.
Believe it or not, one of the ways to protect water is to carefully choose the materials you use to build a building. And one way to do.
And then he asks you some questions and all the answers are right over here. If we move along, this is one of my favorite slides. It asks what the student's reading level is. So if I'm a Lexile 455, I can click on the red snail, and now the text that they give me is going to be appropriate for my reading level. Really great content. I love this one. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to a collection. So when I do my unit in 2 weeks, I can remember what I liked in eMediaVA. Collections are great because you don't have to bookmark everything and then clutter up your browser bar. You don't have to try to come back in and redo your search and remember what you were looking at. You can just add it to a collection, and then when you come in back in 2 weeks to do your lesson, everything is there in one spot for you to look at. So here's how we do that. Up here to the right of our picture, I'm going to hover over Add to Collection. I can choose one of the collections that I have already created, but I want to create a new one. I'm going to call it Recycling, and then I'm going to click on Create Collection and Add. Successfully added. I can view the collection, edit, but I'm not ready for that yet. First, I want to go get a few more resources to add to my collection. So for now, I'm just going to move my cursor over out of this area, and I'm going to go back to find more. But while I'm here, you can also download this if you want to, or you can report a problem. If you see that the learning object is not working for some reason or has some sort of other issue, go ahead and report a problem. That's going to send us an email and we'll get that taken care of right away. Okay, so let's go out and find more for our collection. I will show you how to get these out to your students, but for now, we're just going to add to our collection. So I would like to add a video, and here is a good talking point while I'm right here. So you can see this video, the Magic School Bus Holiday Special, has this little note that says login required. That's not really going to be an issue because you do have a login, so you'll be able to view this, and so will your students. However, just keep that in mind. Most of our resources do not require a login. As you can see, a lot of them don't have that note. Every once in a while, though, you will run into a content provider who wants their content a little more protected with a login. So just keep that in mind. If you see one that says login required, maybe don't send that one out to parents or something like that. But shouldn't be an issue. You'll still be able to view it and use it in your classroom. So that being said, here's a video I'm interested in called Recycling Now, episode 4. I can see it was created by WHRO Education, which I know is a great resource. It is for grades 4 through 12, but I'm still going to check it out and see if it's something I'd like to use with my students. Okay. So again, here's all this stuff down here, the description, support materials, SOLs, all that stuff. So let me take a look at this video and see if it's something that I feel is good for my class.
We believe in recycling, and we believe it's going to continue for many years to come.
The recycling industry is evolving. So how does that affect what we put in our recycling bin? Find out next on Project Earth.
Okay, so of course, as a teacher, I would watch the whole 3-minute video to determine whether or not I want to use it with my students. Let's pretend I did that. I like it. I'm going to add this to my collection as well. So I'm going to hover over Add to Collection. And this time, instead of creating a new one, my recycling collection is right here. I'll click on Recycling and Add to Selected Collection. Perfect. Now, while I'm here, I want to talk about download briefly. When you're using eMediaVA, you're most likely going to be streaming the content. If your students are using it, they'll probably be streaming as well. But here is an instance where I do actually download videos and other resources from eMediaVA. First of all, sometimes it's just good to have backup because we all know there are those days that you go in to teach and the internet for the entire division is down and suddenly all of your lesson plans have to become, like paper pencil again. But if you have a collection of resources from eMediaVA already downloaded onto your device, like this video, then you can just go ahead and play it without having to stream from the internet, which is really handy. So sometimes it's good to keep those on hand. Also, as an instructional technology specialist, I love to app smash, as they call it. So I used to download these eMediaVA videos, and then I would go over to either PlayPosit or Edpuzzle. And if you're not familiar with those, they let you pull in videos that you have downloaded on your device. And they let you create stopping points within the video that asks students questions about the video that they just watched. And the students cannot move forward in the video until they answer those questions. And then, of course, you as the teacher have the ability to monitor their progress and see the answers that they're giving you. So those are some really great tools, and that's kind of how I combine eMediaVA and the downloading feature with some other really great sites and resources out there. So keep that in mind. That's one really great use for the download option here. So that was 2 resources for me, an interactive and a video. I'm going to go ahead back out to my search and look for some more stuff. As I'm scrolling, I see a lot of videos, which is really great because videos are a really important media for us to share with our students. But I do have some audio learners, and I want to make sure that I get them covered as well. So I want to look for some other options. I'm going to adjust my search results just a little bit. I'm going to take off video, and I'm going to take off interactive. So hopefully now I'm just seeing audio, documents, and images. Okay. So now let's go ahead and look for some images and some audio for my students who learn best in those manners. Take this off as well. Okay, here's an audio piece. It's 6 minutes long for grades K through 5. Recycling never sounded so good inside Appalachia Folkways. Let's take a listen.
Now we're going to talk about playing traditional Appalachian music using instruments made out of materials you may have laying around in your basement. Now, in my house, boxes from appliances automatically get turned into forts by the kids.
So as you can see, this is exactly what it says. It's just audio. There's no image, there's no video, and that's great. It may not seem too exciting, but for audio learners like myself, this is really great. I love to listen to information while I'm doing other things with my eyes and my hands and whatnot. So audio works really well for learners like me. This is a really great one. Not only is it covering recycling, it's also covering regions of Virginia, and it's also covering some music SOLs as well. So this is a really great one. I'm going to add it to my collection by hovering over collection, clicking recycling. There we go. Let me go ahead back out and just find one more resource to add to my collection. I'm going to keep my eye open this time for a really captivating image. And here's one catching my eye already. This one right here. Let's take a look. So it's just an image. It does have a description, but this is a very powerful image to me because I'm looking at this and I'm already thinking of the ways that I can have a conversation with my students about recycling. I can ask them, how do you think this happened? What are some solutions we can come up with to make sure that this never happens again? How can we convince other people to make sure this never happens again, right? We can have a lot of good conversations in 2nd grade just based off of this picture here. So I'm also going to add it to my collection, recycling. Now, this resource is so good. I actually want to get it out to my students right now, today. I don't want to wait 2 weeks. We're going to cover it today. So let me show you how to take one of our learning objects and actually give it out to our students, because that's why we're here, right? We're looking for objects that we can use with our students in the classroom. So your first option for sharing this with students is to kind of do exactly what we're doing right now. You can pull up all of these resources yourself and either share them on a Zoom, like I'm doing now with your whole class, or you can project them up on your smartboard with your whole class and sit there and have a conversation about it right there, whole group, in person, face to face, right? But of course, we're very digital these days, and many of us are virtual. So we need to make sure we know how to get these out to our students digitally as well. Excuse me. So here's how we do that. Your first option is just scrolling to the top of your page and going up to your browser bar, grabbing the web address, highlighting it, copying it, and pasting it wherever it is that you talk to your students. This is how you would get it out to parents as well, by the way. So you can put this in Seesaw, Dojo, Remind, email, your learning management system. That's probably most common. I'm assuming most of you are on Canvas or Schoology or Google Classroom or something like that. You would probably grab this link and go put it into your LMS, your learning management system. What I always did was in my LMS, I would create a discussion and then I would copy and paste this link, put it into the discussion, and then I would give some directions. I would say, hey, go check out this image. And then I would ask a couple of questions, probably those ones that I said out loud a minute ago about, what are some solutions we can do to make sure this never happens and so on. So I would put the link in there so students can see the image. I would ask a few questions. I would say, please respond, answer all of my questions. Once you do that, go answer or reply to 3 other students in the class who have responded, and let's get a discussion going about this and brainstorm some ways that we can help save our planet, right? Another option is to embed. Almost all of our resources over here where we added to collection have an embed option. And if you click on embed, you can copy the embed code, and then you can create a page right in your learning management system, and you can embed the resource right in there. And that's not just images. You can do that with videos, interactives, almost anything that we have in here. If you're not sure how to embed in your learning management system right now, I wish I could cover that tonight. I just don't have enough time. But what I suggest is either reaching out to your instructional technology specialist at your school, and they'll be able to help you out. Or you can just do a quick Google search. That's always what I did. I would just type how to embed in Canvas, and you'll find tons of little quick tutorials and step-by-step pages on how to do that. So then, your students don't have to click on a link and open a whole new tab amongst all the other tabs that they already have open throughout the day. They can just see the resource embedded right there in their learning management system, and you can build the rest of your lesson right around that object. So those are definitely the easiest ways to get these out to your students for use. So now that we have added some things to our collection, I'm going to show you how we access that collection. Say it's 2 weeks from now and it's time to teach that recycling lesson. Let's see how we find that. We can scroll back to the top of our page and click on to eMediaVA dashboard. And then we're going to click on My Collections. We can create a new collection here, but I'm going to go ahead over and look at one of the existing collections I've already made. Here are the 4 collections that I have made in my time on eMediaVA, the most recent one being on top, recycling. So let's go ahead and view our recycling collection because it's been a few weeks and I can't really remember what I put in there. Here are the 4 resources that I added to this collection, again, with their thumbnails, their title, description, and some additional information down below. Okay. So everything looks pretty good, but it's been a couple of weeks, things have changed, and I want to go ahead and edit my collection because things have changed in my classroom. So over here to the right, we can click on edit to make some of those changes. So now that we're editing, we can change the title. You can add a short and long description if you want to, but it is not required of you. But most importantly, if we scroll down to the bottom, here are those 4 resources I added to my collection. And I remember that the video was my favorite one, and that's what I want to put on top of the list. So I can just click on it and drag it up to the top and move all of my things around just like that. Also, I don't think I want this recycling never sounded so good. I don't think that's really relevant to my classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it as simply as clicking on remove. And it's gone. So now I have 3. One more really important thing to add about collections before we move on. Many educators use collections as a place to just store their resources and come back in a few weeks or come back next year and see what it was that they were using. A lot of educators like to take these resources individually and put them out on the day that they're using them in the classroom. But if you do want to share this whole collection with someone else, you're going to want to make sure that you come up here to the top again, and over where it says shareable link, you want to toggle this button over so that it's blue. Now, if you want to grab this link here, copy it and share it out with others, you can do that. You can put it out in learning management system, email it, or however you want to get that out to other people. That's a really great method for sharing your collections out with some of your co-teachers. So I think everything looks great. I'm going to click done editing. And now if I view my collection again, all of my changes have been made. So I'm going to go ahead back over to my slides with our last little bit of time here. I just have a couple more things I want to mention to you before we head out for the night. When you get these slides, 13 and 14 are my favorite resources in eMediaVA right now that I wanted to share with you all so that maybe you have some place to start as you get going. So slide 13, these are my favorite secondary resources right now. And these are not individual resources. These are both series. These are collections that have many, many resources within them. So secondary, if you're unaware, WHRO also creates online courses for secondary students. Our most recent course that they worked on was the African American History course, so it's very fresh and new and updated. We hired lots of subject matter experts to get our content in here, and our instructional designers put it all together. But you do not have to be part of that course to get all of the really great resources from it. These pictures are hyperlinked, by the way, so they're going to take you right to the resources. We have taken all of our videos and interactives and things like that from the courses and uploaded them into eMediaVA. So if you haven't yet, definitely check out all these African American history resources. There are tons and tons and tons of them, lots of videos. They're very relevant, very new and fresh, and we have a lot of people using them. I'd say this is one of our top resources right now. Definitely take a look at those. Also, one of my favorites, and I know this is Lindsay's favorite as well, is Above the Noise. This is a series that was created by KQED, which is a station out in, I believe, San Francisco. And they have this guy, Miles, featured in all of their videos, and they talk about current events and relevant topics that are happening out in the world. He covers some really tricky topics as well, but he does it in a really couth way that I feel is really easy for the students to understand. And his way of speaking also kind of resonates with the students, and I think they relate to him. We've seen some pretty positive interaction and feedback with these. And to show you what I mean, I'll show you about like 30 seconds of one of my favorite videos.
We're all familiar with school suspensions, right? The idea is that if you get in enough trouble, as punishment, you get sent home for a little while. When you eventually return, the hope is that you learned a valuable lesson and don't cause any more problems. Now, that always seemed crazy to me. You do something bad, and as punishment, you don't have to go to school? Shouldn't that be a reward? I mean, who doesn't want to sit around watching Netflix all day? But suspensions have some unintended consequences. Turns out, students who get suspended perform worse in school and are less likely to graduate. And according to a 2018 government report, schools have a discrimination problem when it comes to discipline. Black students get disciplined more harshly and more often than their white classmates for the same kind of misbehavior. You heard that right. A Black kid could push another student or cuss at their teacher and get suspended, while a white kid could do the exact same thing and remain in school. Obviously, that's not cool.
So I'm sure you can already think about all the discussions and conversations that you can have with students about this. And he covers a lot of topics, definitely check out Above the Noise when you get a chance. And then slide 14, these are my favorite elementary resources right now. First is Guardians of Jamestown. They're very popular, but if you've never heard of them before, this is a series of animated videos for elementary students that cover the entire American Revolution, really from start to finish. Any important battle or figure from the Revolution is going to be covered in these videos. There's tons and tons of them. They're all roughly 5 minutes long. They're really great for 4th and 5th grade when you're focusing on American Revolution in the classroom. But I have used these with older students too. Older students, you know, they really like cartoons and things of the nature as well. So definitely check those out. Those are very engaging. And then last but not least, I included Wildcrats. Whenever I go to schools and I work with students or teachers, I always ask students, because you know we're a PBS station, I ask, what's your favorite PBS show on WHRO? And by far the top answer is always Wildcrats. As you can see, there are literally thousands of options that come up when you type in Wildcrats. They cover tons and tons of science SOLs. Students love them. And hey, if we can engage our students with something that they're really interested in and still cover an SOL at the same time, you know, let's do it. Let's get our students engaged and involved and wanting to talk about science. Definitely check out Wildcrats. So that being said, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and pull the chat up so that I can put links in here for the survey and for the slides. I'm also going to stop the recording, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to stick around and ask those in the chat. And let me go ahead and get those links out for you. Okay. So the first link that I'm going to put into the chat is for the survey. When you take this survey, just a heads up, take it on a computer, not a mobile device, because the certificate it gives you is in PowerPoint format, which is just easier to access on a computer. So, you know, and you don't have to take it now. You can wait until tomorrow. You'll get this link in the email again. So no rush to do that survey, but there's that survey link. Take it on a computer.